Alright. Don't eat it this time.
I won't eat it. That's for the moment.
Wait a minute, you're not Peter.
No, I'd be a little worried if I was. I grew boobs, I lost my dick, my voice is different.
Gwen, you changed.
Gwen?
Gwen Stacy? No?
Yes, I know who Gwen Stacy is.
Spider-Gwen. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I got Spider-Gwen omnibuses for Christmas this year.
Ooh, nice.
I can't wait to crack into them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, boy.
Oh, this movie's been out for a while.
Yes.
It's been spoiled many times.
Yes, but I still loved every minute of it.
Mm-hmm.
This was one I was really looking forward to. My sister saw it before me, and I just come home and she has this big grin on her face, and I'm like, was it good? And she's like, yes, I mean, it had its flaws. It had, all movies do, well, most movies. There are some movies that are perfect. E.T. is one of them. That's a perfect movie. But, like, this one had minor flaws, but overall, I loved it.
So you didn't have an issue with Keys getting together with Elliot's mother?
Wait.
It's subtly hinted when you think about it.
I don't really mind that. I mean,
subtly hinted. Hey, I'm taking away your alien friend. By the way, your mother looks nice.
Well, I'm assuming that they don't just immediately hook up.
No, it's subtly hinted when you think about it. It's just subtly.
Yeah, but for me, I just feel like...
It just feels like a weird addition.
Yeah, for me, E.T. was just perfect. And, like, the book version of it was cool, too, because that was from E.T.'s point of view. But we're not talking about E.T., we're talking about No Way Home.
Wait until August. So... You'll get it. So as you know, I've been kind of having like an on-off relationship with the MCU.
Yeah, sometimes he just needs to take a break. They're not talking right now, but now he's seeing how things go. You know, we'll see how it goes. So how was this, Sonny?
Endgame pissed me off, man. It really did. I did not like Endgame. Infinity War is a whole other story. I wish you were there for those two, because they were an interesting experience for me. Because when I went to see Infinity War, and with the way it ended, I was super mad. I was so annoyed, because I sat there for 3 hours, and to see it go to that ending, leave off on a cliffhanger. I knew it was going to be a cliffhanger, but what made it worse was that the guy I was working with the day before I had to see it kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
So I was so annoyed. And then when I saw Infinity War and it ended, I'm like, really, you're ending it here?
Yeah.
Instead of just having them, like, go off and, like, a little, there, buddy, we're gonna fix this somehow. Instead of a bleak ending. And then Endgame happened, and it made me want to tear every little fiber out of my head.
My opinion on those movies are way different than Morgan's, just to give you guys a spoiler alert.
This movie did not do that. I actually liked it. There are problems I do have, but at the same time, there is an emotional connection. The storyline for this particular Peter Parker, the Tom Holland version, it really does feel emotionally earned. Yeah,
and you feel so bad for him. He just can't catch a break. It's like the poor kid. It's like when he's first introduced in Civil War, he's like very happy-go-lucky, wanting to please, his idol. And then, he goes through some hiccups in Homecoming. He kind of comes of age in, Endgame, like Infinity War and Endgame. And, he lost Tony. So that was the first emotional blow. And then in Far From Home, he's struggling with, the grief of what happened. He lost 5 years of his life. He's, still...
Vacation, all I wanted. And that, and also he's trying to deal with the weight that he's been given.
Yes, and, he befriends Mysterio, who is acting like he's his friend, and then he turns out that he's not. And then the asshole... just to spite him, makes up this bullshit lie about him being the one attacking London. And, oh, by the way, he's Peter Parker's Spider-Man. So the poor kid, he just can't catch a break.
What my issue has been with this trilogy so far, and what I mean, I'm the Holland films, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, with the slight exception of this one. When you really think about it, this entire storyline is being driven by Tony Stark and his actions.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that annoyed me with the previous two movies. I wanted something that was being fueled by Peter's actions.
Yeah.
Something that he was causing to be represented, and so they had to deal with the situation that he's created. And this one I finally got that.
Well,
I mean, the way it built up to it was a little off, but it does kind of make sense because he's in this situation that he can't get out of,
yeah,
and he thinks the easiest way to do this is to set the restart button, but he realizes there's bigger implications of
yeah,
that kind of situation. There's a greater responsibility to doing that kind of thing, and it
yeah.
causes bigger problems. And I thought that was what I wanted from the previous two films. It's not a villain that's been screwed by Tony Stark. And
Well,
is going
those
after
villains
Parker.
were not really screwed by Tony Stark. They were blaming him.
The Vulture, Mysterio.
Yeah, but they were not. He didn't screw them over. The Vulture, that was them having to clean up after the Avengers and them being bitter about that. The Mysterio guy, and if you watch like the side by side comparison scenes to like Civil War, what Tony actually said in Civil War versus how Mysterio remembered it, it's completely different. Mysterio was just bitter and jealous of Tony. That's what it boiled down to. He wanted Tony's power.
Okay.
I would not say that Tony was the cause of the stuff that happened in those two movies. He's connected, yes, but I do not agree that he was the cause.
Regardless, I was finally glad to see something that was more focused on Peter's character and his development in this series.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main element that really carried throughout this movie.
Yeah.
It was nice to see some old characters come back, even if it's just for a cameo or at least a connection to the situation.
Yeah.
And it feels like as if they're giving them a nice big send-off. Because when you really look back at those previous franchises, they kind of had weekends. They felt like it was just unfinished or incomplete in a sense. So to finally have this one come along and tie up those loose ends just felt satisfying.
Yeah. I don't agree with the loose ends thing or them being weak, but that's just my opinion. We're going to have different opinions about movies. I mean, the last movie literally ended on a cliffhanger.
No. I was referring to Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking. Okay.
There was a way where those films ended where it just felt unfinished. You felt like there could have added an epilogue or another chapter to it, and you could simply say that in a sense they are ended. But there's so many open ends to those.
Well, they technically weren't. The Sam Raimi films were supposed to get a fourth movie,
and that
they
did
never
not happen because of
Andrew
disagreements
Garfield
of the story.
Got severely ripped off. He was supposed to have an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and at least 2 other movies about the Sinister Six.
They were gonna have like a big franchise then that went to where it was.
Yeah, that's why those felt incomplete. I mean, you can argue that the Raimi movies kind of had a conclusion, but it was supposed to.
It was ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's very ambiguous in the way they do it.
Yeah.
And here, at least, there is a little more connecting to what it leads to. It's a little subtle, and I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's fine. The way that they address that element of the end of Spider-Man 3, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I
have to watch those again. It's been so long.
First one's a little campy for what it is. Second one is easily the best. Third one's got problems. The editor's cut is better.
Yeah.
It's a little trimmed down, and the stuff they add back in is kind of interesting. There's a nice little scene between Sandman and his daughter.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat. He just forms into a giant sandcastle, and she puts his handprints on the castle, and you see the handprints form in front of the wall and stuff. It's a sweet little scene, I'll say that much.
I'm part of the group that a lot of people did not like Amazing Spider-Man 2. I was not one of those people.
Oh, I'm rewatching that tonight. I can't wait to see how that holds up.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I did not like that one at all. There was just way too much plot. I had a lot of issues with the chemistry between... Well, no, I should take that back. There is chemistry between Parker and Gwen in that one, but the way they handled the story, I just did not like it. It just felt way too on and off compared to the first one, even though there were some awkward beats. But Mark Webb, he's more of an indie kind of director, and when you give them the reins of doing a big giant blockbuster, there's a 50-50 chance of them knowing the direction they could take these characters in and delivering this giant CGI action-filled turkey of a Thanksgiving dinner, or it's just gonna be a strange mess because they have so much plugging into it, and they're just wondering what to do with all these ingredients. And in the case of the second one, that's more a case where there were just way too many cooks. You have the studio coming in and saying, okay, we want to have this be our own universe and set this up. That's besides the point. We're talking about No Way Home, which...
Yeah.
Is it the best Spider-Man movie of the franchise? For me, it's second. I'd say the best one to date so far is Into the Spider-Verse. I had so many doubts about that one because I didn't know how to react to it. It felt like such an out there concept. It could work or it could not work. I'm not a huge fan of Phil Lord and Chris Miller, but they're producing it. Yeah. Okay, fine. But when I saw it, I was in absolute disbelief. They took something that could or could not work on paper, and it really flew. Just seeing all those different incarnations together and really helping out Miles Morales, understanding the aspect of what it is to be like Spider-Man, no matter if it's a cartoon pig or an alternate universe version where it's Gwen that gets bitten by the spider or Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man, things like that. No matter how many different kinds of Spider-Men you create, it's still Spider-Man. And they do the same thing here, which is great, with all the different villains coming out and everything. There's just one tiny thing that holds me back from saying this is truly the best Spider-Man movie out of the bunch. The comedy. There were points where it felt very hit and miss. There were points where some of the banter and tangents went on a little too much. If it was just trimmed down a little bit, if they just... There's moments where you just feel the tension rising, and then there's a little comedic beat that happens, and it doesn't quite work, or it just needed maybe a little more to it. A good example is when a character is left in the van and they just say, oh, he's in the van, he didn't want to come in with us. If they explain that a little better, because it took me a while to catch on and think, okay, I can see why, he's left behind because he's created as he is. He can't, walk among the people, so he has to hide himself because I'm a monster, don't look at me. So if they explain that a little better, I think that would have sold the joke a bit more. Or if that was not meant to be a joke, I don't know. I've heard way too many things to say, oh, this is supposed to be a joke, or that's supposed to be a joke. Or then you have them creating the science stuff, and then Ned comes in and says how he's Spider-Man's best friend, and one of the characters says, I know someone was a best friend of mine, but they died in my arms. Awkward! You could have just cut that out, or if you're going to make that a serious beat, make it a serious beat. That would have just been fine. But the way they inject that into it just felt a little awkward, especially when they're building momentously to this big action set piece in New York. Well, then they're on the Statue of Liberty waiting for the big climax to happen, and they're going back and forth between each other, talking about their experiences in their different universes as Spider-Man, and that's fine stuff, but they're just sitting around and talking. If you just spliced that down a little bit, it would have been at least a fine sequence, but it goes on for way too long. The gag about one of them having a bad back and his back has to be cracked, that was a nice little in-joke, given the actor and what we went through for that particular movie. Stuff like that is fine, but when it goes on for way too long, I'm just tapping my toes and going, okay, Climax, where are you, Climax? Come here, Climax. It's just, if they toned down a little on the humor, it would have been okay, or just punch up the jokes a little bit. But aside from that, I'm not going to knock it down too much for that. It's a nitpick, and it's still a well-made movie. There is a budget going into it. Are there problems? Yeah, but they're mostly nitpicky, or they're just little things that bug me. I'm not going to hold that against a movie like this, which has so much plugging into it.
Yeah.
So it is something I do recommend.
Yeah.
I will say right off the fly, I do recommend it. How do you feel about the other Spider-Man movies?
All I'll say is this one's definitely my favorite.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
I think top 3 for me is Spider-Verse is number 1. This is maybe a close second. Spider-Man 2 is probably a little under that.
Yeah, I would say...
And then afterwards, it's a little jumbled from there.
This one would be my top favorite. Next would be Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Into the Spider-Verse. Sam Raimi 1 and 2, with the third one being last, only because of the weird... Like, I understand why they did the weird emo Peter thing, but that was just... Okay.
They sort of fixed that up a little bit in the editor's cut. Yeah. I mean, it's still there, but they do kind of touch up a little more, so it feels a little more like a gradual progression.
Yeah.
They make the newspaper scene first before the big fight with him and Harry, which does make a whole lot more sense, so at least it's paced a little better. But you still have him dancing the James round going, yeah, it's like... Yeah. But even weirder is how they place it.
Yeah.
Because in the editor's cut, it goes from him at the Daily Bugle confronting Eddie about the photo. Him talking to Harry, and then him confronting Harry, and then him dancing on the streets of James Brown. So it almost feels like, hey, I killed my best friend last night. Yeah. It's so weird the way they place it.
Oh, I think I forgot to mention the Tom Holland movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Okay, so ranking, top favorite would be this one, then Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Into the Spider-Verse, regular Spider-Man 1 and 2, the other two Tom Holland movies. Nothing against Tom Holland, but I was one of those people that was a little pissed off when they canceled the rest of the Andrew Garfield movie, so it took me a while to warm up to Tom Holland Spider-Man because of that. And then, you know, Spider-Man 3 from the Raimi-verse would be last.
Of course. Homecoming, I liked Homecoming.
Yeah, I did like
I thought it was a step in the right direction. Far From Home I was not a fan of.
Yeah, I'd say
that one went a little too big for me.
Well, with me, Homecoming was probably my least favorite out of those two, and I did like Far From Home.
I think what saved Homecoming for me was seeing Michael Keaton as the Vulture, because it's nice to see him in the villain role. He has that edge and bite to it.
Yeah.
Where you just don't know what he's going to do, and that really was what held it together for me.
Yeah.
And when they do reveal that he's doing all this just for his family, it's like, oh, wow, that's quite a twist.
Yeah.
And then you see him go at odds with Peter when he finally clicks in his head that he's Spider-Man. He wants to go after him. It's like, wow, this is really perfect. And the way they build to that climax at the end where they're fighting against each other, that was definitely well earned.
Yeah.
Far From Home, I think, went a little too big. There are some nice sequences, like when Mysterio uses his illusions to go into Peter's psyche. That was fine. I wish there was a little more of that. I wish it was more of going into Peter's connection to becoming a superhero and trying to handle these big situations.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I got from this one. And I wish there was a way to do a little more of that in Far From Home, instead of being this one action set piece after another, and let's go from one city to the next, let's go to Italy and then Britain, all these other places, and have these big giant scenes. Here there is a development going on. There is a lot of character progression going on, especially for the Peter character, and learning how to become Spider-Man, and he earns it by the end. I think that is what really sold me by the end as to this being a very good entry in this franchise.
Yeah. So yeah, we would definitely recommend you go see it.
Mm-hmm. Even if you already have seen it.
Yeah, we're not doing...
It's made $1 billion. So
yeah, we're not doing a spoiler thing this time, because it's like, this is a movie that you legit need to see. And it was really, really good.
And I'm trying to be nice. I'm really trying to be nice and hold back. So, post-credits, there is one that kind of irritated me a little bit, because I thought it was going in a direction...
Is that the Venom?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it kind of did hint something. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting more, and then the other end credit thing was
a teaser.
It was a trailer.
It was a trailer.
It was a trailer. It wasn't an actual end credit thing, so I kind of wanted it. Well, I can't say what I wanted for the end credit because that would spoil stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you that after we're done filming.
I'd be curious to know. Speaking of which, what do you think of Doctor Strange in this one?
I like Doctor Strange. No, I hate him. I like him. I hate him. He was a jerk. I'm sorry, but I kind of felt like he was a jerk in this one. Yeah, he was a jerk, because let's just say he did something for his ego, and then he was trying to blame Peter for it.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's like, no, honey, no, sweetie, no.
Okay.
He's 17, okay. You're in your 40s, you're the adult.
Well,
Take responsibility!
Well, when they went through the whole Endgame thing, they're like, we can't mess with the timeline and stuff. And then Peter's recognition is, yes, we can make some alterations, just not too drastically. And that is one thing that really pissed me off about Endgame, when they said Back to the Future was a lie, and they do the whole time travel thing. It's like, no, I want to see time travel get screwed. I love that kind of stuff. I love messing with the past and affecting the future. And I just wanted to see that happen to Endgame. The ramifications, like, what if the things that they're trying to do... What?
Oh, okay.
What?
It's... I was looking at you in the camera, and I'm like,
well, yeah, because right next to that is the...
That's okay, we can still see you. But I was kind of like, what the hell is that? But yeah,
it's my
I
third
do still
arm.
Like Doctor Strange.
I was infected by radiation, so it's growing out of me. No.
I do still like Doctor Strange, and he did have a touching moment with Peter near the end. But overall, I just was like, dude, you are the cause of this.
Well, Peter told him to do it.
Well, no,
and he said,
Peter
"Let's do
started
it."
to back out, and then Doctor Strange got the idea to do it. Because Peter originally was like, okay, I'm sorry to have bothered you. And then because of him saying something about forgetting, that's when Doctor Strange was like, oh, wait a minute.
What about this person? What about this one?
Yeah.
What about this one?
Well, no, like before that.
He could have asked to,
Yeah.
like, get the details. Okay, here's an idea of a joke that made me just go, really, you're doing this kind of gag. It's in the trailer. They have Dr. Ock in, they're talking to him and stuff. And he's like, oh, what's your name? Otto Octavius. And they snicker at it. Like, yeah, go ahead, laugh at the guy's silly name when you're in the basement of Stephen Strange.
Yeah, but...
Stuff like that just...
Well, I don't think Steven said what his name was in front of Doc Ock, so... I mean, if they had him say that, then maybe. And we can talk about that because that wasn't in the trailer.
Dude, you capture... Dude, you captured a tree. Was that a person? No, it's an actual tree.
They could have had an I am Groot thing.
Would have been too easy.
Yeah. But again...
he actually captures Groot by accident.
Yeah.
What are you doing on this planet? I am Groot. Surveying? What are you surveying? And all the trees get up there like...
Or he, like one of the Lord of the Rings trees somehow gets sucked to Earth. Yeah. But yeah, again...
Voiced by John Rhys Davies. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But no, what they did with this movie was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Not much to say for trailers because we didn't get too much. They weren't that good. There was that Netflix movie Red Notice.
Yeah, which just looks stupid.
And they showed a trailer for this movie, which was weird.
Yeah, well, they did that. They did that with another movie.
Halloween Kills.
Yes.
That's what it was. Halloween Kills. You're telling me about that. And at first you said it was Matrix 4. I'm like, no.
Well, yeah, I got mixed up because I forgot that we watched The Matrix at my house. And you already know our opinion about that movie.
Yeah.
I just found out today it was rated R, and I'm like, why was that rated R?
It was rated R. Well, language, maybe. Well, maybe it's that shot of all the nude bodies and, like, the machine pods.
Yeah, but you didn't really see anything. They were covered in tubes. And, I mean, hello, in Titanic, you see frickin' Kate Winslet's ass and her boobs, and that was still rated PG-13.
It was the 90s.
And you saw an up-close shot of her butt. It was like, hello, there's a butt right in front of your face.
Might have been the way it was photographed. MPAA's weird.
Yeah.
I could have sworn there was another trailer for something we saw.
I don't know.
I'm blanking. It wasn't Mobius, because they bounced that back a couple of months.
Yeah, they, because it was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Red
Notice.
What was the other one?
It's probably going to come to me when we're driving to DQ.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm blanking out. I'm
trying to think what was it? We'll remember eventually.
All right, so that's it for 2021.
Yeah. I mean, we saw this in 2022, but it came out in 2021.
Exactly. Out of curiosity's sake, what would be your best of and worst of pick for 2021?
For me, I would say this one was the best. The worst is a tie between Jungle Cruise and Matrix 4.
That's hard.
Because, I mean, at least Matrix 4 wasn't boring. Well, it was kind of boring.
There were interesting ideas.
It had a huge slow roll, and then it got good, and then it just went, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Where Jungle Cruise was...
dull. It was a standard get to point A to point Z plot.
Yeah, and I don't know why people like that movie so much. It's like... No, it was boring. It wasn't even a long movie, but it was one of those movies where...
Drag.
Yeah.
Slow the plot down.
And it was trying to be the mummy, and it's like, you are not the mummy.
No. For me, it's tough because I normally get that one movie that comes to theaters that surprises me and really clicks to me emotionally. I didn't get that. I felt like we got sort of like a leftover of what was supposed to be of 2020 stash.
Yeah. Which
is fine, but I just wish there was that one flick that really clicked with me and said, yes, this is why I love going to movies. And I'm tempted to say the comedy special Bo Burnham's Inside counts, but there's a problem. it's a comedy special. Well, not really a comedy special if you really watch it. So I'm going to give it to Godzilla vs. Kong, because that's one where at least it entertained me in the right spots, because I didn't know what direction it was going to go into. And
that came out in 2021?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love Godzilla.
I do,
I love
too.
Kong. It was nice to see them mashed together and fight.
I was thinking of the other Godzilla movie.
Oh, King of the Monsters?
Yes.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, that's really good. It's on HBO Max. It's a fun trip. If you like monster movies, this is definitely worth it. There's so many things that happen. There's so many unique characters they carry over from the other films, which is kind of nice. I like how Kong has a little deaf person that's communicating with him, and Kong understands sign language and stuff. Stuff like that is really nice.
Yeah.
And it really gives a heart to the movie. At one point, it turns into Back to the Future, the ride, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's a sweet, fun blockbuster, and it just hit me on the right notes. In comparison to Worst Of, which was a little bit tough, because at first I was gonna go with The Green Knight, because that interpretation of him in the wrong times.
I forgot about that.
And then I was going down the list of movies.
Three-way tie.
And then I was going down the list of movies that I saw last year, and when I got to this particular title, I'm like, that came out last year? Oh yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. Oh, it's a truck. And then I remembered this movie, and it came back to me like a PSD flashback. Coming to America.
Oh yeah, the sequel.
Yeah.
Where it's the same title, but
they changed it to a number.
But with like a
Don't see it.
Well, I never saw the first one.
The first one is fine.
Yeah.
It's a little too long in places, but it's got some good comedy to it. What?
Is there like graffiti on that person's car over there?
Which one?
The Toyota. On the left side, underneath the... Or like a weird dent.
Maybe it's a weird dent. I can't tell.
I don't know. That's just kind of weird. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, it is a dent.
Okay.
Yeah,
from here it just looks like a weird graffiti thing. It's
Yeah.
like, sorry, we're sitting in a parking lot, so you're getting distracted by the cars driving by.
But yeah, Coming to America. This is what really bugged me. Eddie Murphy came back as a host for SNL before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
He did My Name is Dolomite, which I've heard good things about. And then 1 year later, Amazon purchased the rights to Coming to America. And I thought, okay, I didn't see My Name is Dolomite. I've heard good things, but you know what? Coming to America is fine. Maybe the sequel will be something.
Yeah.
He seems to be getting a good comeback. Me and Gus were quoting bits from the SNL episode he hosted, which were funny as hell.
Yeah.
The bears are coming for us, y'all! Ah! He broke the fence like a Jurassic Park. He's eating nose like Skittles. It's a great sketch.
Yeah.
Tell Shane, sorry. It don't matter what it is. So, I see this sequel. Oh my god, it is unfunny. First 5 minutes feel like a fine reunion, almost akin to that E.T. Comcast commercial.
Yeah.
But if it, in a way, went in different directions that disrespected the source, and oh my god, when you see what the driving force is for the plot, it is so uncomfortable that it started to get to a point where I was just playing it in the background and doing other things. That's how bad of a film it was. There's so many crude jokes that were just so unfunny.
Yeah.
So much lost potential. Zamunda apparently is now Americanized, so they have like their own fast food joint that they carried over from America, which was in the first movie. It's a long explanation. And instead of CNN, they have ZNN.
Okay, someone's like phone was going off, but it sounded loud. I turned my car into a phone.
They don't want me to talk about this movie, that's why.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the camera picked that up, but that was just weird.
So yeah, that's... Yeah, you said you want to see a good movie next week.
Yeah. Well, we can see House of Gucci next week.
I don't think it's playing anymore, but...
Really?
Yeah.
That wasn't out that...
Yeah, I see.
Damn, they didn't really leave that in theaters that long.
No.
Oh, well, that's annoying.
I literally did a search. It's only in some small-time areas in AMC theaters.
Well, that's a shame. I really wanted to see that.
Maybe when they get to awards season, they'll play it again, because they'll actually do that at this theater. Sometimes what they'll do is for like 1 week only when it's Oscar season.
Yeah.
I should probably say when it's close to the Oscars, not Oscar season, because Oscar season is past 2 months is Oscar season. What they'll do is when the Academy Awards come out and they announce who they're nominating, they'll play certain movies again for like a 1 week limited run, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's nice that they do that.
Hey, maybe we'll get Licorice Pizza. I've been dying to see that one.
Yeah. That still annoys me, though, because Jungle Cruise was in theaters for what felt like forever.
Yeah.
And Gucci was literally blink and you miss it, so that's a little annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
So there you go. Spider-Man No Way Home.
It was good.
Yeah. My faith is not completely restored in the MCU, but, you know, it was nice to get a good entry.
Well, it's not
Doctor Strange 2, on the other hand.
You should probably at least watch WandaVision before you watch that. You might be able to skip Loki, but...
The problem is when I incorporate the TV series and the natural continuity, it kind of is a bit of a hassle because I got to remind myself, okay, this is positioned somewhere in the timeline of the movie timeline. It just gets a little too much.
All I'll say is that it just takes
I was burnt out after Twin Peaks.
I'll just say that WandaVision is literally right after Endgame. That's all you need to know. It's right after Endgame and right before No Way Home.
So it was Animal all along. It was Animal all along. It's a meme.
Yeah. You'll see.
All right.
If you end up watching it. All right, off to DQ.
Okay. Oh god, my leg is asleep again.